Hi, whether you're here for the first time or you've come back, thank you for coming to my channel and watching my video. Maybe you'll see my other videos too. Whenever I'm seated, I've got to change my seating arrangement because my seat is kind of angled forward and I feel like I'm kind of pressured into if I seem kind of stressed or eager or something, it's kind of, I guess maybe something has to do with that. So anyway, I wanted to talk about self-esteem. I think I have a good, healthy sense of self-esteem. What prompted this video was I was talking with somebody about somebody from my past, and the person, something that troubled me has been troubling me in relation to this other person. And the other person was describing what had happened our last talk together with this other person. This friend of mine said something about self-esteem or low, feeling low, so forth. So regardless about the other person, I thought maybe if the other person is watching, maybe it might help. I hope it's a constructive way of helping. But also there's a large audience out there, and I wanted to share, I wanted to have fun sharing a little bit about my past, and more importantly, I wanted to share what possibly encouraged my healthy sense of self-esteem. And there goes the sirens in the background. Hopefully it's not drowning out what I'm saying, but oh man. Okay, be interesting to watch this video later on. Anyway, I'm losing audience members already. I feel it. Anyway, so I'm going to break this into 3 time periods in my early life. There's that Canada period. That Canada period where with the Canada period, I'm mixing together my earliest memories from when I was probably in Ontario and Winnipeg and so forth, and even Albany and Binghamton together. And that takes me to about age 7 or 8, and then, no, 7, I'll say 7. And then the Wetzel Road period when I'd moved and been in 2nd grade, and then moved at the beginning of 4th grade in around October, I think October 4th, 1985, same day as Sputnik. And then from then on, it's where I live now. So there are 3 periods. There's my early life, the Canada period, where I'm a little child, and those are my earliest impacts on my life, those earliest points when I'm manifesting, those early instincts of mine are manifesting, maybe those early things that are impacting upon me are manifesting. And then Wetzel Road, which is when I had a little bit more impact externally, but I think by that point my personality had essentially set in. And then where I moved to after that and been for quite a while, all throughout all 3 periods I'd been living with my mom. Okay, so and yeah, I moved in 1985, so short amount of time. So early on, my mom never punished me. My mom, I mean, that includes spanking, really harsh scolding. I think the worst that she did was raise her voice a bit and be a bit more stern talking with me. She gave me a wide latitude. She would, even though I didn't even ask for it, she would recognize my privacy. In the, I'll call it the 3rd period, somewhere in high school, I think, or middle school, she put a sign on my door that said, Jeff's private room or something, and without me even prompting. Okay, earlier on, I'm talking about the Canada period. and dipping into the Wetzel Road period, she noticed that my early interest was drawing. And first of all, she was attentive enough to notice what my interests were, and she encouraged those interests. She clearly wanted to let them flourish. So in our interactions, she was happy with me. She shared enjoyment with me. Whenever I was excited about something, I felt very free to go over to her anytime and just share these things. And she would turn and she would spend some time with me and smile. She would smile a lot when she was with me. And she never talked down to me. When we would talk, we were talking on equal levels. She never, in some sense, literally never talked down to me. In other words, she never used baby talk, or she didn't use baby talk. She didn't say these are certain things that we shouldn't say, something or other. So I guess that perhaps helped me feel free to share my thoughts purely and straightforwardly. I remember, all right, so 1983 was the first time I went to a movie theater. I should mention before that, what was I watching on TV? This would be the Wetzel Road, a little bit of the Wetzel Road period and the Canada period. I watched The Nature of Things with David Suzuki, and I don't remember anything about the TV being off or no TV for certain periods of time. I don't really early on. I don't really remember if there were any guidelines or anything, but I just remember enjoying certain shows and my mom recognizing which shows she paid that much attention to me to know which shows I liked. And I know from later on, she probably was happy that I was enjoying these certain shows that weren't just wholesome. I mean, that's vague, but there were shows that encouraged my creativity and encouraged my intellect, and she might call healthy for me. But they were shows that I latched onto. They were Mr. Dress Up, and that was certainly in the Canada period. The Nature of Things with David Suzuki, The Muppet Show, probably a little bit of the Looney Tunes, and let me see. Offhand, I don't remember the other things. I remember I watched a number of movies on TV. I remember watching Sound of Music during the Canada period, and I probably watched both Superman movies with Christopher Reeve. He had then subsequently made a third and fourth film, but they would not have come out yet. But I remember Superman being an early influence on me, and I respected Superman, and the term role model comes to mind. I don't know if you would call him a role model or not. To be more accurate, watching those movies and watching him behave and watching his philosophy on life in those movies showed me that somebody else thinks those same things. That's probably the closest way of putting it. And I remember drawing a lot. I probably wrote some, but I remember drawing. And so, like I said, as I said earlier in this video, my mom bought several books on how to draw comic book characters, cartoon characters. I remember superheroes, a book how to draw superheroes. They were I don't remember the name, but it was a paperback, thin, about this high, and I think I still have them. How to draw superheroes, how to draw Woody Woodpecker, how to draw so forth. They may have been by the same publisher. And so in 1983, I'd already seen movies on television, and so I think as far as I can recall, Return of the Jedi in 1983 would have been the earliest movie I had seen, excuse me, in a movie theater. Sorry. I'm too lazy to really mute and edit these, so bear with me. Um, so my mom would go with me to watch. Of course, I was too young. I would have been, who knows, below the age of 10. But my mom would take me, and I remember in 1984, that was a critical period. 1984, 85, 86, 85. November 1985, I would have been 10 years old. And then 86, 10, going on 11. And, sorry. And my mom, sometimes I would go by myself. My mom would go with me and enjoy it with me. It wasn't like she was just there sitting next to me. It was like an event, a shared event with both of us, between both of us. And I remember being exuberant and talking with her about the movie I had seen. And I think this says something, this has some bearing on how free I felt to share ideas. And I didn't feel any sense that there were grown-up ideas and little kid ideas. I just let free, um, let the comments fly free. And my mom, no matter what I said, my mom talked with me directly again and gave her own comments. She didn't seem to be couching it as a mother to a child. The sense was always that these were two friends talking with each other about a movie they had both seen. And sometimes I would go alone. I remember my mom, I had moved and I had a friend. I might as well talk about my friend at Wetzel Road. I think he had an impact on me. The friendship I had with him had an impact on me. And I think my mom was happy that I had a friend like that. This friend I had known in school, and I would go over to his house occasionally, not as often as I had wanted to, but the friend and I both were interested in Transformers. For a period, in addition to Transformers, he was interested in Mask. He collected a few Mask toys from was it Kenner, and Masters of the Universe a little bit, to the extent that he owned some figures. But basically, it was somewhat Mask and primarily Transformers. And so we would talk on an intellectual equal level and speculate and broaden our minds and so forth, and talk philosophically too. And one thing about my mom, I don't want to make this whole thing a mom video, but I want to introduce her as obviously an impact on my sense of self-esteem. When we moved in 1985, fall of 1985, I didn't live as close to my friend. I went to a different school now, but my mom let me take the bus. This may go back to her taking the city bus when she was about my age at that time. She would have been like 12 or 10 or something, young, and that was in New York City. So maybe that had played some part in it, but I felt a sense of independence. I felt my mom trusted me. And I remember when I would go to a friend's house, she had enough confidence in me, I suppose, to go to the friend's house, and then I would tell her, and she would be happy that I would call her and say, I'm fine, I'm okay. And so I felt more prone to doing that. I never felt any rebellious nature. Growing up, I never felt the sense to rebel at all. And I think it's because she just let me go off and do my own stuff. And I can do other videos on what I was doing. But let me look through here and see what else. Another thing she did was as I would drift off to sleep, she would read books, Dennis the Menace books, which are basically describing what the cartoon was and then reading the caption. Or sometimes she would read adult books, like I was interested in UFO books, and these were the same books that I was reading myself. So in addition to that, in addition to her reading, um, in my free time, I would read adult books. I would read primarily about UFOs and the paranormal, and books about television and film and how they were produced, and just books about Star Trek, which was a big interest of mine. It still is, and Star Wars, and other interests. Books about well, later on in life, Bewitched and so forth. So in terms of healthy self-esteem, oh, I should mention now, okay, now that's my introduction. So now we're in the third period where I'm in this new school. It's the fall 1985, and I was about to, and then just turned 10, and then all the way through the rest of elementary school, through middle school, and through high school. Um, I felt a little bit of alienation or ostracization. I didn't feel like I was part of the rest of the class in school, really. I literally, I was a student there, but I'd have to really be introspective about what happened early on in elementary school, those final years of elementary school. But I remember in middle school, there was a more of a sense that kids were doing things that just didn't interest me. And the more that happened, the less interested I was in fitting in with what they were doing and keeping track of all the gossip and so forth. So I was just plain out of it when it came to trying to fit in, or even like another thing I should mention is, because it's kind of ironic, you may think. Um, my mom bought a lot of things at garage sales. I knew that I felt the sense, and I think it's pretty accurate, that my mom didn't have as much money as the parents of other kids. The other kids their parents would have typically a car, maybe two cars, a nice home. We were living in an apartment till we moved into a um, low, in some sense, a lower quality house, but it was our house halfway through sixth grade. Uh, but my mom didn't drive. My mom didn't own a car. The clothing that I would get, and it's funny how these things feel normal, they seem normal, except in other contexts. My mom would simply get clothing from like garage sales or yard sales or something like that. She had a knack for finding clothing and finding different things. That's not to say that she would give me money to buy toys. Um, so in that context, that I could see how that might have continued to boost my healthy sense of self-esteem, um, for a practical reason, like practical necessities like clothing and so forth. She was able to afford that by like garage sales. Some of the toy figures and so forth, she got from garage sales too. Um, but I didn't internalize that. I didn't internalize myself. I did not label myself as poor. I simply recognized that this is this is the extent to which my mom could afford things, and that was it. um, so I didn't even in school. I did not even attempt in school. I did not even attempt to try to keep up with fashion. So that did something to decrease I felt my ability to fit in with other kids. I hope my voice isn't being skipped because the video seems a little jaggy. But anyway, uh, but I don't even want to mentally get into that, remembering all this stuff. But I'll just say that I got the feeling that I was mocked or not. I would say, all right, I would say misunderstood or not understood, or just not even misunderstood. Simply that other kids sometimes they would ask me simple questions like, where do you buy your clothing? And I just felt awkward whenever they asked that. And it further giving me a sense of alienation. And what do you like to do? That I liked better. That kind of a question I liked more. Um, but they were like personal questions. I could tell that they were curious about me, but sometimes it felt like a mockery, like they were looking for fodder to make fun about, mock me about. Uh, but that never, I never internalized that. I never internalized that, and so outside of school, I felt happy, and in school, I just did what was required. I did the classwork, and that was it. So my sense of self-esteem, I knew what I wanted to do. I just explored my passions and interests in life without any expectation. I wasn't trying to follow what other people wanted me to do. Nobody was telling me what they wanted me to do, not even my mom. My mom simply recognized what my passions were, what I liked to do, and she gave me things um, like maybe a book or something or other, or let me, didn't even let me, just she recognized what I liked and just gave me the freedom to be able to explore it and be happy about it and talk with her about it, share my interests with her. Um, and again, she never punished me. She never scolded me. The Sometimes she would say, You promised to pick up your grades." Yes, I will. And sometimes I wonder if things could have been different, would have been different if she had pushed me further. I don't know, but I feel happy. Um, I feel happy in another sense that I had to motivate myself. Nobody else was pushing me. I had to motivate myself to do better in school and so forth. And school is a whole other thing where I never really felt motivated in school. She encouraged me. She liked, like for example, Transformers. She knew that I liked Transformers, um, and I would read the paragraphs describing the characters' personalities, and I would latch on to. I learned about all their personalities, and some personalities were more noble in my sense than others, and those are probably good role models. Again, Superman. I became interested in Star Trek and the philosophies in Star Trek, the episodes, how they would dwell. They would dwell on certain on like pick a theme. Absolute power corrupting absolutely. I started to do another video. I did preparation to do another video about common themes in the original Star Trek series in the 1960s, and I found one of them was absolute power corrupting absolutely. And these weren't preachy. They were actually dramas, like 50-minute dramas, um, just exploring these themes. Another one about computers running things. Is that good? Is that beneficial? Um, Computers taking over the role, taking humanity's role, like overshadowing humanity. I don't remember the others offhand, but themes like that. And there were other shows. I remember some shows I would be interested in, and when I would tell my mom, like for example, Transformers and so forth, um, Megatron and the evil characters, she would sometimes reinforce or remind me of them being not good role models, and Optimus Prime being a better role model. Slightly. I remember one time that happened. So let me go through here and see if I haven't, see if I have skipped anything. I don't. Oh, she would also. Early on, I'd say like late elementary school, like middle school. She, for some reason, she sign me up for different groups. I remember during the summer, she signed me up to go to day camp. Um, offhand, I don't remember what the name of the day camp was, but it was enjoyable. I guess I got some benefit out of it. I got fresh air out of it. Sometimes I would rather not go there and just spend time around the neighborhood, or spend time indoors. I was very much an indoors person. She signed me up for Cub Scouts, and I think it was Weeblos, a Cub Scout. It kind of merges together, and I continued, and I just stayed. It was like a routine. It was something I guess it was expected of me to just continue in there. It was sort of like school. Um, I was initiated into school, and it was expected that I had the sense it was expected I just stay in school until I graduate at the end of high school. And same way with was it Cub Scouts or or Weeblos? I'm trying to remember. Bear. There was a friend of mine who would know this better than I would where I was in. But anyway, um, I don't think I was in Tiger. I think I was Bear, and I remember Weeblos a lot. Anyway, then I continued on to Boy Scouts, and I eventually made it up to Eagle Scout, which is highest in Boy Scouts, and that's something I'm proud of. But it's simply because I just felt it was expected of me to just continue, just like school. It was expected to stay until you graduate at 18, or graduate the end of in 12th grade. Um, I mentioned privacy. Let me see. I think that's about it. Um, there were some times when my mom would take control of certain things like finances, obviously, and taking care. We would live in an apartment sometimes, just making sure that we were able to stay in the apartment, stuff like that. And I stayed out of it, and I had enough trust in her, and I didn't interfere with her stuff. And but other than that, I had a lot of freedom. So I think that basically says what I want to say. Out of that, I have, I think, a healthy sense of self-esteem now. I think a major part of it was not internalizing the stuff that other kids would mock me about or seem to make fun of me over. So I hope that helps. I don't know if this person is watching. I hope this maybe has helped this other person, if nothing else, but to understand where I'm coming from and my upbringing and so forth. So, all right. I'll see you later. Bye.